Hey everyone, welcome back. 9 hours ago, a machine 6 billion miles from Earth opened its eyes for the first time in nearly a year. It has no crew, no backup, and no way to call for help if something breaks. It is completely alone, farther from home than almost anything humans have ever built, and it just woke itself up, right on schedule, exactly as planned. 20 years ago, this is the true story of New Horizons, the spacecraft NASA left sleeping at the edge of the solar system, and why waking it back up might matter more than anyone expected. Stick around, because what this probe does next could answer a question about our solar system that nobody has ever been able to test before. On June 23rd of this year, flight controllers at the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory in Maryland sent a simple check on their systems, a routine ping into the dark. 9 hours later, the answer came back. New Horizons was alive, healthy, and fully awake, nearly 6 billion miles from the room where they were sitting. That number is almost impossible to picture. 6 billion miles, 9.5 billion kilometers. At that distance, a radio signal traveling at the literal speed of light takes almost 9 hours just to arrive. Not delayed by weather, not delayed by equipment. That is simply how long light itself needs to cross that much empty space. New Horizons had been asleep since August of last year, 321 days, the longest hibernation of its entire mission. During that time, nobody on Earth sent it a single new command. Nobody downloaded a single byte of new data. The spacecraft was completely on its own, running on instructions it had already been given a year in advance, quietly gathering information the entire time it slept. Every single week, without fail, it sent back one tiny signal, a status beacon, just enough to say one word: green. Green, meaning power stable. Green, meaning temperature normal. Green, meaning still alive out there in the dark. Week after week, for 321 weeks in a row, that signal came back exactly the same: green. This is not the first time this spacecraft has done something remarkable. New Horizons launched in January of 2006, faster than anything humans had ever sent off this planet. It swung past Jupiter the following year, using the planet's gravity like a slingshot to gain even more speed. Then, in July of 2015, it did something no spacecraft had ever done before. It flew directly past Pluto. For decades, Pluto had been nothing more than a blurry dot, even through our most powerful telescopes. New Horizons turned that dot into an actual world, with mountains of solid ice, glaciers made of frozen nitrogen, and a heart-shaped plain that captured the attention of the entire planet. For years after that, in January of 2019, it went even further, past a strange little object called Arrokoth, shaped almost exactly like a snowman, spinning quietly in the freezing dark of the Kuiper Belt. It remains, to this day, the most distant object any spacecraft has ever explored up close. And then, having done all of that, New Horizons simply kept going. Since its flyby of Arrokoth, the spacecraft has traveled another 23 astronomical units outward. To put that in perspective, that is a greater distance than the entire gap between the Sun and the planet Uranus. It is currently moving away from Earth at roughly 300 million miles every single year. Right now, New Horizons sits at 64 astronomical units from the Sun. For comparison, Earth sits at exactly 1. Only 2 human-made objects have ever traveled farther. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, both launched back in 1977, both still faintly transmitting from true interstellar space. New Horizons is not there yet, but it is heading straight for the same invisible boundary those 2 probes crossed decades ago, a region scientists call the heliosphere. Think of the heliosphere as a giant bubble, blown outward by our sun. Inside that bubble, the solar wind, a constant stream of charged particles from the sun, pushes outward in every direction. But that wind does not blow forever. Eventually, it runs into the pressure of true interstellar space, the thin, cold material drifting between the stars. Where those 2 forces collide, there is a boundary, a place where the solar wind suddenly slows down, piles up, and shifts, called the termination shock. Only Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 have ever crossed that boundary and measured it directly, and their instruments are decades old, built with 1970 seconds technology. New Horizons carries instruments that are far more sensitive and far more modern than anything the Voyager probes ever had. Now that it is awake, its very first task is not the termination shock itself, but something quieter: hydrogen gas drifting through the outer heliosphere, mapped using an ultraviolet instrument on board called ALICE. That data will help scientists understand the actual shape and behavior of the bubble our entire solar system sits inside. Of using a spacecraft that has already flown past 2 worlds nobody had ever seen up close before, there is something almost eerie about how this mission survives out here at all. New Horizons is too far from the sun for solar panels to work. There simply is not enough sunlight left to gather. Instead, it runs on something called a radioisotope thermoelectric generator, essentially a small block of decaying plutonium, slowly converting heat into electricity. That power source built the entire mission, but it is also slowly fading, a little weaker every single year as the plutonium inside naturally decays. Eventually, there will not be enough power left to run every instrument at once. Engineers already know this day is coming, they just do not know exactly when. For now, the mission team is doing everything possible to stretch what power remains. Updated software, smarter autonomy systems built specifically to manage a spacecraft this far from home, where waiting 9 hours for a single reply is simply the price of doing business. NASA expects New Horizons to exit the Kuiper Belt sometime around 2028 or 2029, crossing fully into the empty gap beyond the true edge of our solar neighborhood. But exiting the Kuiper Belt does not mean the mission ends. Some engineers believe if the power holds and the funding continues, New Horizons could keep collecting data well into the late 2030s. That would make it one of the longest-running deep space missions in human history. A spacecraft launched when the iPhone did not exist yet, still quietly reporting back from the edge of everything. There is a strange footnote to this story that most people never hear about. Pluto was stripped of its planet status back in 2006, the very same year New Horizons launched, in a vote that still causes arguments among scientists to this day. NASA's current administrator, Jared Isaacman, has publicly said he wants to see Pluto reclassified back to full planet status, a debate New Horizons itself helped ignite by revealing just how complex and active that little world actually is. A flat mountain range made of solid ice, evidence of an ocean, possibly still liquid, hidden beneath the surface, nitrogen glaciers that appear to flow and shift over time, almost like something alive. None of that fits the old, simple image of Pluto as a lifeless, frozen rock. New Horizons is the entire reason that image had to change, so take a moment to actually sit with the scale of what this spacecraft has done. It has now traveled roughly 600 million kilometers farther than the distance between the Sun and Uranus, one of the largest planets in our solar system, just to reach the point where it is right now. Every message it sends still has to cross the entire width of the solar system and then some, arriving 9 hours later, carrying information that is already 9 hours old the moment we finally see it. There is no live video, no real-time conversation. Every single command sent to New Horizons has to be planned days, sometimes weeks, in advance. Because by the time Mission Control realizes something went wrong, the spacecraft may have already reacted or already failed, hours before anyone on Earth even knew. That is the reality of operating a machine this far from home. Total trust, total distance, and total silence in between. And yet, for 321 straight weeks, alone in the dark, New Horizons never once missed a check-in. It has now outlived that goal by over a decade, and it is not finished yet. Somewhere out past the orbit of every planet you learned about in school, past the icy debris of the Kuiper Belt, a small nuclear-powered machine just opened its eyes again, exactly on schedule, exactly as planned. And for the next few weeks, it will quietly send back everything it saw while the rest of us were asleep. Think about that the next time you complain about a slow internet connection, somewhere out there, a 20-year-old spacecraft is still working perfectly, waiting patiently 9 hours for every single reply, and it has never once let its steam down. What do you think it's going to find out there? Drop your guess below and subscribe, because the next chapter of this mission is only just beginning to come in.